new Bloodline member debuted on last night's SmackDown and Jimmy Uso was removed. Jack Perry has taken a shot at CM Punk in New Japan Pro Wrestling, and AEW's Jon Moxley has won a world championship. Stay tuned for the news. We are just 1 week removed from WrestleMania, and it looks like there's been a seismic change in the Bloodline. Now, last night's SmackDown, we saw Solo Sikoa seemingly take charge of that group. Now, they came out to the ring, the Bloodline, Jimmy Uso, Solo Sikoa, and Paul Heyman. There was no Roman Reigns or The Rock to be seen.
No, you had Heyman kind of doing the whole, like we don't blame anybody for this loss. We're not going to put the blame on Jey Uso. We're not going to. And Heyman's kind of being unsettlingly balanced in that sort of way that only Heyman can do.
For sure. And he was sort of like giving his props almost in character to...
You're sort of just waiting for the big butt, right?
Yeah, you were waiting for the butt, but it didn't happen from him anyway. He sort of was praising it, and then Solo Sikoa was like, well, losing matters, right? And Heyman's like
wins and losses count, and it's important.
Yeah, and he was like, well, there should be consequences for losing. And then Heyman agreed, pushed him aside, and then went and hugged Jimmy Uso. Now, Jimmy looked terrified of his younger brother.
Is he just like me? Like, no, I don't mean.
I'm Jimmy Uso, no yeet, and all that sort of stuff. And he gave him a hug and said, I love you, bro. And then Solo said, I love you too. He looked like he was going to hit the spike, but he backed off. And instead, Jimmy was attacked from behind
by a mystery assailant in a hoodie. Who is it?
Who
could it possibly be?
Bloody Tamatonga. New Japan's Tamatonga. He seemingly has joined WWE. We've been hearing a lot about that for quite a while, actually, that he was headed to WWE after he finished up with New Japan Pro Wrestling. He snuck into the ring in the hoodie, as Sam says, attacked Jimmy Uso, laid him down basically at the feet of Solo Sikoa. Solo Sikoa demanded that he goes in, gets a chair from ringside and all that sort of stuff. But before he did that, they raised the one.
They raised the ones. So he's Bloodline affiliated. He's Bloodline official. And he knows exactly where the chairs are.
He does.
That's a man who knows where the chairs are. In the timekeeper's area, just straight, doesn't even look.
He just hand over, chair ready. But interestingly enough, they put the ones up, they raised the ones. We've got a new Bloodline front. While they were doing that, Paul Heyman lifted up his phone and said, Call Roman Reigns. And then Solo ripped the phone from his hand, threw it on the ground and stomped on it. So it looks like Solo is now the main guy in the Bloodline.
Well, I guess Roman ain't the main guy in the Bloodline because Roman can't get it done anymore. So
losing has consequences, right?
Yeah, losing has consequences. I'm assuming The Rock is really the leader of the Bloodline now, but The Rock's busy. The Rock's away. He's got more things to worry about than the piddly little stable. He can put somebody else in charge and make somebody else run it for him he's the de facto leader,
the interim Bloodline leader.
He's like the assistant, the
assistant to the regional manager.
Yes, that's what he is. But essentially, like I think, it's not looking good for Roman if this is how they're going to treat Jimmy.
No, it's not looking good at all.
It doesn't just end there.
It doesn't, because according to Fightful Select, one idea that has been floated internally as a possibility was Jacob Fatu, who we have heard has signed with WWE. Yep. This was over WrestleMania weekend. He was supposedly backstage at WrestleMania. Didn't appear
at the MLW show, right, that he was supposed to be on?
Yeah, he was meant to be MLW and a GCW show he was meant to be on. Didn't appear at them. But the report is saying that Fatu could possibly be teaming with Tamatonga, and this would, of course, be a callback to their fathers, Haku and the Tonga Kid, who teamed as the Islanders back in the 80s. So that'd be pretty cool.
You know what would work there? You put new in front of any old tag team name, it instantly works.
Bloodline 2000.
The Bloodline 2000, we'll get there. They've got to have a silver chrome logo. We need new Islanders.
There we go. I'm very excited to see what they do as a group and how the Bloodline matures.
But I don't know what's going to happen with Jimmy now, because Jimmy, the segment didn't end with the phone getting smashed. The segment ended with the chair being draped around his head and then a hip attack to the head wrapped in the chair. So Jimmy was twitching. Jimmy wasn't in a good.
It was not in a good state.
In a good position.
I think we'll see eventually a reunion of the Usos, right?
Well, the crowd were chanting yeet. Obviously, the crowd wanted Jay to get in there and help his brother somehow, but ultimately, Jimmy's got to learn.
Hey, watch. Roman Reigns and the Usos.
When will you learn?
Roman Reigns and the Usos versus Solo and the New Islanders.
Yeah, that's the one.
That's a money match right there. The New Islanders, it's going to catch on, right? So next week's SmackDown, though, we are set for a WrestleMania rematch. Now, AJ Styles will take on LA Knight, of course, a rematch from Sunday night, where LA Knight beat AJ Styles. But this time, a shot at Cody Rhodes' WWE Championship is on the line for Backlash France. Now, both men won their respective qualifying matches on SmackDown last night, with LA Knight beating Santos Escobar and Bobby Lashley. AJ, though, beat Kevin Owens and Rey Mysterio, which is quite a tough challenge, that one.
Yeah, AJ's kind of maybe a little bit tougher.
A little bit tougher. Just a little bit tougher. The latter match was won, though, with an incredible Styles Clash. He sort of is on the middle rope with Rey Mysterio, ready to hit a Styles Clash off of the rope, but he lands on Kevin Owens and then just does like a forward roll into the pin with Rey Mysterio.
He's like magical, isn't he?
My God, that man is in his mid-40s.
Yeah.
As is Rey Mysterio.
Yeah.
He doesn't have knees.
He's like more limber than any of us will ever be, is capable of more athletic things than any of us will ever be able to pull off.
I don't understand
it's sickening.
It's incredible, but it was a really good...
If I just dedicated myself to anything and tried, I could maybe have a tenth of his ability.
Look at that athleticism. Another thing that was teased on last night's SmackDown was a possible tag team between Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill. Now, of course, they teamed together at WrestleMania alongside Naomi, but on SmackDown, they teamed to face Piper Niven and Chelsea Green. On the SmackDown Digital exclusive, they teased some stuff about their future, though.
Yeah, Bianca said, right now, Damage Control has those tag titles, and I got a lot of history with them. We already added Jade to the big three at WrestleMania, took them down, so we still got those titles. So they still got those titles. I've never been tag team champion, to which Jade replied with, I want to win some gold. And then Bianca made it very clear by saying, I'm liking it. Future tag team champs. And Jade agrees. Future tag team champs.
Future tag team champs. This is a mega tag team, right? This is the mega powers.
If this tag team can't make these belts work, I think it's time to just get rid of the belts.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
I think that if this tag team can't do it...
This is it. This is
time to just get rid of it.
Yeah, I think this has a lot of potential.
Yeah.
Maybe not what people want to see from Jade Cargill straight away.
No, but it's a good platform to start, I think, and move in and around the women's division from there. Maybe it's not the best time for Jade to kind of come careening into the top of the women's division just yet. We need to let things sort of simmer. So putting Jade somewhere else for now gives her more time, more hands-on experience, I guess, with people in and around her she's going to be working with more often. But ultimately, it means we can just bide our time, and make the tag titles division
makes it mean something
more.
It makes it mean something, especially when you've got Bianca
back and forth with Damage Control over the titles as well.
Absolutely, that could be a really big feud going into the summer months. It's just really interesting to see this change for Jade Cargill, going from a singles competitor to a tag team.
Yeah,
but Bianca and her, they've got really great chemistry. We saw it at WrestleMania, and I can't wait to see what they do. Going over to New Japan, though, this was Windy City Riot last night, and Jack Perry appeared in front of a very, very hot Chicago crowd. Now, if you've been I don't know, living under a rock, if you're Patrick Starr and you've been living under a rock this past week, there was some footage involving Jack Perry and CM Punk this week. This was released on AEW Dynamite. It was a backstage fight from AEW All In, the hotly anticipated footage. Jack Perry made some references to it on last night's Windy City Riot. He came out draped in a Chicago flag.
Yeah.
And then the flag was dropped to reveal Cry Me a River painted on the back of his jacket, his ring jacket. He was set to face Shota Umino in the match. When he got to the ring, though, he was met with a big Cry Me a River chant, or rather, a Cry Me a River song from the crowd. The crowd was singing to him, almost like he was Seth Rollins. He even did the whole arms out and basking in the singing, which actually was a really cool visual. I thought it worked really well. Very strange to hear a Chicago crowd behind Jack Perry.
Well, we've seen. I mean, there was the awkward situation after Punk left, and Chicago weren't that mean to the company then. I think that just because it's Chicago doesn't mean it's always going to be so fervently pro Punk. But at the same time, it does feel like Jack Perry is very much the sacrificial lamb in this week's actions,
or the scapegoat, you could say.
Or the scapegoat, yeah. But more fitting. But I think that ultimately, like this is what. I don't know where we go from here, right, with Jack Perry, because it's sort of, there's talk that this is all leading into a return feud for AEW, but if it's about, if Punk's at the center of this, Punk doesn't work for AEW.
He doesn't, no.
None of this makes sense, and ultimately, what's the point of any of it?
Either way,
it was stupid to release the footage, and the Cry Me a River stuff, I get it, it's working in and around, but like for me, I don't know, man. It's
I think it's definitely got Jack Perry's heel character over to a whole new level than it was before. I think people were a bit cold on it because of the way he was being presented in AEW, whereas now he's in there in New Japan. He's one of their top merch sellers with his scapegoat t-shirt, and he's getting the crowd to have a dueling chant of "you got choked" and "no you didn't." He's managing to work the crowd really, really well, and he left as a babyface pretty much. He shook hands with Shota Umino and left through the crowd high-fiving the people from Chicago.
I think if anybody's the villain in the situation, it's Tony Khan. I mean, Punk, obviously, but Tony Khan, is the one person who went, let's release the footage. And, we see Jack Perry getting dragged away. And it's not like, it's just a situation. It was weird, man. Like, who wants to see that? Why?
Yeah.
What's the point?
I definitely feel it's building to his return.
It's helping, get him over to the level he's now at. But, and I get that helps. But it still just feels very
let us know how you're feeling about this whole situation, specifically to do with Jack Perry. Obviously, he's very over in New Japan right now. Is it leading to an AEW return? Let us know in the comments below. But staying with New Japan, Jon Moxley is the new IWGP World Heavyweight Champion. He beat Tetsuya Naito in the main event of Windy City Riot. What an accomplishment from Moxley, right?
Yeah, heading into the match, he said that it was likely his only opportunity at the title, saying, I'm probably only going to get one shot at the IWGP Championship my entire life, and that's fine. I'm only going to need one. And then, obviously, hit the Death Rider on Naito and walked out of there the champion.
Yeah, he only needed that one shot.
He's got the big belt buckle that everybody wants to change for the other one.
Change for the old one.
Yeah.
It's every single time they want to change it. But Moxley now has got a very good distinction. He's the only man to be the WWE Champion, the AEW Champion, and IWGP Champion. This is an insane accomplishment.
That's massive.
And it means that the Shield has only been without a championship for 5 days. If he'd won it last week, that would continue this 5-year period of them always having a title, which is baffling. But mad props to Jon Moxley. He absolutely deserves it. I wonder if we'll see him return to AEW programming now, or if he's going to do a big run in New Japan. Maybe G1's coming up.
Obviously, as New Japan champion, he's likely going to have to focus there. But I'd imagine that seeing him in and around American TV with the with the New Japan, the IWGP Heavyweight Championship, in the lead up to events like that is going to be massively beneficial for promoting said events. So it makes sense that he would probably pop up. If not to wrestle, then at least to make appearances.
Just making appearances with the belt and look really cool with it, because Moxley looks cool with the title. He was, though, attacked at the end of the match by Ren Narita, who looks to be the next person that Moxley challenges, or is challenging Moxley for the belt. We don't know when that's going to take place. Maybe AEW, more likely New Japan, but we'll keep an eye on that one as we go forward. But that is all we've got for you just now. We will be back later on today with more wrestling news. You can stay tuned to the Cultaholic social media channels for all the latest and greatest wrestling news. Sam, let's go get a coffee, and we're back for more news later.
Cry me a river, Fraser.